Hey, what's up? Just tapping in. So I'm actually making this video from a very spiritual place within city limits. It's the hallowed and sacred ground of stability in a former past life of mine. Sometimes former iterations of our own life, like even like within the time that you might still be in high school, like former grades before that, or like sometimes a kid might think that like 3 or 4 years ago was like the good man. I remember like. So like in 1996, I remember like, man, I remember the summer of '94, man. I got out of school that time. Like I remember it was a nice day in May, and we got a little bit more free time at school, and I was right about this song. This is how we do it. And that was '95, and then we got home like that, and that song was on the radio, and it was getting dark out. It was evening, and I got to I had my own Sprite, and I threw one back a Sprite. And then I think my friends actually ditched me that night, but I was in such a good mood that it still felt cool and spiritual and like a beautiful night, like getting ditched by all my friends. It was so beautiful because that was the first night of summer, and I'd probably see them the next day at free lunch. when your friends dip out on you, like as a kid, you can catch their ass at free lunch the next day because you know right about where they'll be when it's time to get free lunch. And then so that was the good old days of '94 when I was when I was about 10 years old in '96. But sometimes like past times in our life can feel like a former life, and you can maybe reason that it's a former iteration of a life because they say like all of our, like from within 7 years, all the cells of your body are yet different, and there may be actually you're actually an ancestor of yourself even within the same day. Sometimes like they say like snakes shed their skin daily. They have like an exoskeleton on the outside, and we have maybe endoskeleton, and we actually shed something each day. we shed something brown each day, and you could maybe say that would amount to like a tree in the past. So we give birth to a little tree that had been like the day before, and like a lot of people are like, man, I gotta eat, man, I got mouths to feed. Like I got a lot of people would feel really serious about eating. And if you think about like the main thing people are preoccupied with, it's always delicious things in food, and that actually helps me because I deliver things. But most people are preoccupied with delicious things, whether that's food or experiences. But delicious things cost, like, and so we're actually always devouring an environment and one another to like because we have these appetites. But what does that amount to? You might enjoy eating that, but what does that do for the earth of anything? Is that it turns into fertilizer. So you could maybe say that we're all sacred cows because we do about the same thing as cows. And I was at a restaurant today, and I was paying for like I ordered a non-alcoholic drink from the bar just to see if they had any like, because I was at a mall and like you want to buy like cool stuff, but a lot of it you end up in like kind of stuffy places with like a lot of attitudes, and the stuff is actually kind of nasty. Like I was trained like for 2 weeks at some of these places, and a lot of stuff is really kind of nasty. But you go to like a restaurant, and this restaurant had been the talk of the town according to some people that got in my way when I was walking past the restaurant, which is near a bus stop. And then but it was really good according to them. And then so I went in there, and I actually wanted to have their finest drink, and then see if I could have it made without alcohol. So I got like ginger beer, and it was so good that I damn near wanted to make a complaint, because like sometimes the best things give the opposite reaction. It's like, damn, that's good. F you, man, I hate this place. It's so good. But then I was telling them that what the heck was I talking about that for? Dang. My bad. That's a real space cadet. You have the best idea in the world, and then it slipped your mind that fast. But more so, we're always preoccupied with eating and devouring delicious things. Oh, but I was telling them that I was spending. They told me it's $5 and some change. I was like, damn, that's damn near the farm I'm giving you right now. I had sold the family farm so that I could have this $5 to cough up for this ginger beer. So this better be, and it damn sure is excellent ginger non-alcoholic beer. But I actually got to a point where almost all my livelihood, all my life, just about crashed to the point where my life is not viable economically because of a deal that I had that put me on ice. But that deal is coming around, so I might be viable with that deal. So you could say that I did damn near lose the farm just to get to the footing that I'm at now, but maybe actually have an opportunity to have initiative and say so over my own life. And so actually, when you're really having say so, you don't got a lot of people around it, so you don't got to say nothing. A lot of people are like, yeah, this one, I'm so big and bad because I don't talk, but you're still around people, so you're not talking. But if you're just doing your own thing, there's no one to talk to in the first place, so you don't have to not talk. You just be yourself. And But so I was like, yeah, I damn near sold the farm with this, and it wasn't nothing but some tractor equipment, and they're gonna have to bust their ass about that tractor equipment, and they might get effed over by someone, they might get undermined and sabotaged by someone on the crew, just like I got sabotaged by someone on the crew. But it ain't nothing but a bunch of cows and some horses and some BS is what the farm is about. But at least I can afford this ginger drink and have a good attitude. So that's what we do all that work on the farm just to get it stolen from us, but we have enough to cough up for a ginger beer, non-alcoholic. So everyone's getting tipsy and everyone's over agreeing and over divulging trade secrets, and yet we're sober and maybe getting a couple glances that might come, that might, while they're like, damn, he's actually still coherent. And then maybe there might be some favors behind that, like someone might hold the door because they're giving us glances. But I meant to say is that but what does all this amount to is that a lot of what we do in life, a lot of this feeding that we do, like for ourselves and a lot of other people that we love, it amounts to jack shit. But that's actually a good thing, because that's actually what like the what makes things grow. So I had someone was training me and said that there's nothing wrong with spilling blood because it makes the grass grow. But I would beg to differ, because I don't think that spilling blood is good or worth anything. But a lot of life does amount to jack shit, and that might be good for the environment. That might actually be our purpose. We think our purpose is to eat, but from another perspective, our purpose might be something different, something that we shed. What's the best thing about us? The things that we shed, like a snake, but we shed something else differently, but similar to a snake daily. And you might say that's a new reality, a new universe, a new meal for someone else. But I don't mean to be gross with that. But what I was saying is, but I did want to say that so part of so this might be actually the hollow grounds of stability in a former life, which is actually a job that worked out for me, where I had a stable job in life, and then sure enough it got bought up. So it's the same. I'm actually on the parking lot somewhere where I sound like a disgruntled rose-colored glass former employee fixating or stuck on the past, but actually it's a shortcut, and it's actually a cool place to write music because it's in the middle of a well-to-do business district. It had been like that for a long time when I was working there too, but you can't get too much of any privacy there, and it's difficult even to drive because you got so much foot traffic. And when you're on the sidewalk, God knows who or what's looking at you or how they feel about you. But actually right here, it's really hella cool. It's a nice day, and I'm in the middle of town, and not even anyone's walking by or driving by, because this part of the alley is not really functional. It doesn't really connect. It's around a lot of important stuff, but it doesn't really connect. So it's actually just a cool, almost like duck off and hide off in the middle of the city. So I was actually just taking a shortcut, but I also wanted to avail myself to make a video about something that was on my heart. But it's the hallowed and sacred ground of a stable job, and it got bought out back then, because it was actually well to do. It was a little bit. So I was at a mom and pop store, right? Sometimes we bring our energy somewhere, and if things are going for us favorably, or we're engaging with things that are upstanding or right. At that time, I was actually around a lot of righteous people, because I had just been inspired and taught and erudited by some real saints, some real people having real life, street life, corporate life, white collar life, blue collar life, real life, family life, dating life, hustler life, player life, fast life, all that, but actually had lessons from that, and mercy is within that, and they had a lot of grace, and they taught a lot of lessons. So those might be your real saints, and your real teachers are the people who live real life. But I was having that type of energy, and then I was at this mom and pop store back then, and the store was actually doing too good for the time. You walk in that store and you think you're going back in time, by the music and the type of people that are working there. I was always something of a throwback, and I was a little bit of from a different age. I was told that by some people. I was even a professional was like damn, you're kind of like one of those people from biblical times, or a philosopher. And I'm all of 19 or 20 years old, but I was actually engaging with that type of material. So you actually reflect what your influences are. But that place was a little bit out of place even at the early 2000s. I think that's called the aughts or the knots, is the first decade of the 2000s. That's what that's called. But it was doing a little bit too well, almost like a middle finger to all the fancy upstart new stuff around it. And so sure enough, we survived a lot of stuff. That was actually during one of the first recessions of this century, the 2007 to 2010, around there. And we survived all that, and we were actually doing pretty well within all that. And I was content there. I wasn't really looking for other stuff. I had friends in the past who were like, yeah man, I work at the sandwich place across the street. I'm making it hand over fist. I'm getting over on life with these deliveries. But why you gotta tell me about it? Because I didn't ask you about that, and I'm stable right here. I'm good to go. I'm cool with what I got in my pocket. But but we won the attention of some fancy companies, and we got bought out and displaced. So that's what's yet sitting in the place where it is now. And I'm not laying on them or nothing like that, but it's actually the former grounds of a stable, the hollow grounds of a stable job at one point in my life, in a cool point.